Welcome, John Reid, to Multicore World. It's your first time here, as it's the first time in Christchurch, and I would love to ask you why? What brought you? Because you are not specifically in the next generation computing field, but there are some intersections with your work. What brought you here?
Yeah, so I mean, I was invited here by the Ministry for Primary Industries and yourself, or at least made aware of the event through those means. We're working in the area of remote environmental sensing, where we're working out the sustainability of Māori land, and so we were here with interest to find out the technologies that are developing and what is happening in the area, so we can better coordinate in and with what others are doing, both inside New Zealand and globally, and then connecting that to the type of work we're doing here in New Zealand in the environmental area. Yeah.
So we have been doing Multicore World for 11, 12 years now, and very fortunate with a lot of people, friends from the world that are coming year on year, but we haven't got many traction within New Zealand, so I'm very grateful that you dedicate the time. And I particularly believe that the intersection of the next generation computing and the indigenous rights or long-term view, as Maori say, we are here to stay. It's the opposite of the quarterly reports of a big corporation. As Multicore World, we try to bring this convergence together. What would be your recommendation or your thoughts about it, or how can we involve more organizations or even the government into Multicore World activities?
Sure. So I think that's the real advantage with Multicore World. You are bringing together some serious players in the area globally, and I think they have a lot to offer Indigenous people and Māori specifically, and enabling them to achieve their goals on the ground with those technologies and ideas. But I think it flows the other way too. I think Indigenous people have a lot to offer in terms of values, ways of orientation, intergenerational thinking.
Particularly values
Yes,
and ethics.
yes.
In these days of digital sovereignty and...
Yes, that's right. And very clear ideas about what types of data and information needs to be protected and looked after to nurture future generations, and how the technology can be used for empowerment purposes, those who are most marginalised, those who require support, and how it can be utilised to support environmental initiatives, social initiatives. Having that broader perspective, and I think there's some real advantages there. And I also think New Zealand generally, you're talking about ministries and government, they could significantly benefit from the type of intellectual capital at this type of event, and the type of skills and capabilities that are here that New Zealand needs to centre itself globally as potentially a leader in some of these areas, particularly in the Indigenous area and environmental areas.
Well, I want to add, there are two things that I want to mention here. Number one is the difference of technologies from the bottom up, platform-driven versus APIs. So Kiwis are very clever, and then they create apps that work still on top of other platforms. But the technology that we discuss here allowed to build entire platforms, which gives much more control, which relates very strongly to native rights. But then the other thing is the long-term relationship. So we have bridges through, for example, the Kiwi Expert Association. There is a huge amount of experts in the world that are looking at New Zealand with extreme interest. And I go to the United States and people approach me from land-grant universities, and I sound as an expert when I am just a barely practitioner. Imagine if you or other people keep working in this area. That's an area that I want to keep pushing as a collaboration for the future.
Yes. I think there's huge potential for that type of collaboration. And I think what's happening here in New Zealand is cutting edge in terms of we've gone through treaty settlement processes with government. There's a strong Indigenous movement, an empowerment movement that's been going on for 3 or 4 decades, and there's a whole lot of Indigenous thinking and ways and ideas that are making their way into New Zealand's policy and the way in which
surprise visitors.
Yes.
Surprise visitors.
Yes.
Something
And-
that is normal for us.
yes,
They are just astonished
Yes.
that treaty settlements happened
yeah,
decades ago.
yes,
And I heard that here
yes.
today.
And what it offers is a little bit of a point of difference of what's happening in New Zealand that is leading, which is unique, and which is can only be found here. But once again, there's lessons that can be taken from that, taken to the world, and particularly with our, with the amount of capability and resources that the type of people that are bringing to Multicore, a wonderful synergistic collaborations can be formed, I think, in the future.
So as an entrepreneur, I know that it's essential to be unique, to distinguish, and we know that Mataranga Maori, or the New Zealandness in particular, makes a distinction. So if we can channel that with the support and the relationship with the world leaders, that will be fantastic. I only want to thank you again for joining us, and hopefully it's the beginning of a fruitful collaboration.
Well, thanks for the invite to Nicolás. It's been well worth it, and appreciate your support and your intentions and what you're attempting to do here.
Thank you.